What up, everybody? Starz has already released a couple exclusive clips from episode 2 that I'm gonna break down in this video, showing the power struggle going on between Kanan, his mother Rock, and Snaps and Pop Henry. It's ultimately like one big chess match is being played between them. The clip starts out with Kanan and Rock bringing Snaps and Pop an envelope full of money and telling them that's the last of what they fronted Ronnie and Kanan. So this is Rock and Kanan trying to pay off Snaps and Pop to get Kanan from under their thumb. But this doesn't work for Snaps and Pop because they had an arrangement with Ronnie, and that arrangement definitely wasn't for them to loan him money without a vig or an interest on it. Pop tells Kanan that they give money to make money. Then Snaps says that they own a piece of the business. And like I said, I completely agree with Snaps and Pops here, because it wouldn't make sense for them to loan money just to get the same amount back. They weren't giving that money to Ronnie out the kindness of their heart. Snaps called it his 401k. Then Kanan lost his temper a little bit on Snaps and Pop, saying they never said anything about owning part of nothing when he told them that he was going to put Ronnie down. This lets us know that Snaps and Pop were in agreement with Kanan putting down Ronnie, keeping in mind Pop saw him as a problem the entire time. And second, that they were playing chess while Kanan was playing checkers. Because the whole time, they were worried about their money and said that Rock was fucking with their money after she shut down Ronnie and Kanan's business. So what they did was transfer Ronnie's debt, someone who's unstable and unpredictable, and transferred it to Kanan, and ultimately knowing that they would be putting Rock under their thumb as well. Then something else to keep in mind is the fact that Rock showed up at Snaps and Pop's place of business with Howard the same night she killed him. Because of that, they guaranteed know that either Kanan, Rock, or Marvin killed Howard, and this is another piece of information that they can use as leverage. Then Rock tried jumping into the conversation and said any deal you made with Ronnie went into the ground with him. And Snaps told Rock, with all due respect, this conversation doesn't involve her. Again, just another chess move by Snaps and Pop, putting it all on Kanan, knowing how Rock feels about Kanan after she came into their place of business to talk to them in season 3. Not to mention the fact she came up with $500,000 to rescue him. So right now, Snaps and Pop have Rock and Kanan right where they want them. And before Kanan and Rock left, Kanan lost his temper again when Rock tells Kanan, "Let's go, son." And he says, "I'm not done talking," when Snaps' security guard stands up and Snaps tells Kanan to listen to his mother. And personally, I think Kanan is overreacting because having Snaps and Pops as your business partners isn't the worst thing in the world. Keeping in mind how they got Joaquin to spare Ronnie's life when he shut down his business. Not to mention they have soldiers and influence that Kanan and Rock can use to their advantage also. But I also understand where Kanan's coming from, because you never want to be under anybody's thumb, especially after what Lou taught him about his grandfather in episode 1, that he was always his own man and didn't rely on anybody else. Then the other exclusive clip came right after, when Kanan and Rock leave Snaps and Pop's bar, with Kanan and Rock having a conversation outside. We can tell this is the same scene because Rock and Kanan are wearing the same clothes. The clip starts out with Rock telling Kanan to be careful with Snaps and Pop, because they didn't get to where they are without dropping a lot of bodies behind them. Rock was warning Kanan like that because he was losing his temper with them in the prior clip. And Kanan replies to Rock, "Oh, like how you got to where you are." Then Rock says, "I could say the same thing about you." She tells him, "You decided to do Ronnie on your own." And he says, "And you decided to do what you did." And Rock says, "I saw an opportunity to solve a problem at the moment, and I took it. That's all I did." And Kanan replies to Rock, "That problem was my father." This lets us know that Kanan definitely isn't cool with Rock smoking his father. Keeping in mind episode 1 when he went to talk to Howard. Howard was telling him that he still had hopes that they could be something to each other. I think that meant a lot to Kanan and will mean something to him moving forward, and he will have a hard time forgiving his mother for what she did, especially given everything else she's already done in addition to that. Rock talking to Kanan about solving a problem is very similar to what Ghost said to Tariq when he was planning on framing Dre for killing Ray Ray. And we know how Ghost and Tariq's relationship turned out. Rock told Kanan that killing Howard was the right thing to do, and that's when he asked her, does she even know the difference between right and wrong? And she says, I know the difference between life and death. And the only reason Kanan is still breathing right now is because of the call she made. And that he's alive because of her. And I believe this is going back to when she made the call to put down D-Wiz. Then she told him, you may not like my decisions, but you love the results. And that she's not forcing him to work for her, that if he wants, just give her the word that he can get out. Now this was Rock playing chess with Kanan and checking him. And Kanan, just like Rock knew he wanted, didn't say anything. Now we see why Kanan was always playing chess and trying to be so calculated constantly in OG power. Because even though he was able to outsmart Ronnie, he still has a long way to go before he can outsmart old heads like Snaps and Pop or even his own mother. And at the end of the day, the show is called Power. And that's really what it's all about, is who has the power and that control. And that's what Kanan was always striving for all the way up until his death. He told Tariq that it might have been 10 years later than he wanted, but he was about to be one of the biggest drug dealers in New York City, comparing himself to Nicky Barnes. Nicky Barnes has been mentioned a couple times throughout Power. Howard compared Def Con to Nicky Barnes, and just like Kanan wanted to be like Nicky Barnes, Kane also told Effie he wanted to be like Nicky Barnes. Then Rock went on to tell Kanan that he's making more money with her because she's getting him more work at a better price. So this does indicate that Rock is likely still letting Kanan run his courier business. And as Kanan was walking off, Rock tells him that their business is good and it can get even better. Then she says that this is what we've always talked about, you and me. And this is going back to the first couple seasons when Kanan really wanted to get into the game and Rock was teaching him how to cook crack, taking him to the meeting and telling him he was going to be a leader and everything else they talked about before their relationship went bad. And from the season 4 cast interviews, it definitely sounds like Lou won't be getting back into the drug game, at least immediately when he gets out of rehab. So it looks like Rock has Kanan replacing Lou within her organization. But we know Kanan doesn't want to be stuck under Rock's thumb at this point, because at some point he's going to get fed up with working with Rock. Possibly she'll try to control how he does things, and he's going to step to Stefano himself. And by episode 4, Kanan will be calmed down and not so mad at Snaps and Pop for playing him. Hopefully he realizes it's just business, because the episode 4 description says Kanan takes advice from Snaps and Pop. And I think this is the scene from the trailer where they're telling him who people see him as now is who they're going to see him as for the rest of his life. And the final part of the exclusive clip, after Rock tells Kanan that she has to be able to trust her business partners, it shows Kanan get into a Mercedes-Benz. The fact that Kanan now has a Mercedes-Benz and the fact he's making more money with Rock than he ever has lets us know there will likely be a few-week time jump that takes place after the end of episode 1 to the beginning of episode 2. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.